Good morning, guys. Happy Friday. Welcome to today's lesson, May 1st, long division. This is actually probably the most helpful lesson you're going to get from me in terms of Algebra 2 prep. It is that popular of a Regents topic, and the first time you see it, it's very tricky. But with time, you'll get it. You'll understand the steps. So you just got to pay very close attention. All right, but let's start with the do now. And actually, if you look at the do now, these problems, if you have these skills down pat, then long division should be no problem. All right, so let's take a look. First, we're multiplying. It's a trinomial times a binomial, so we have to set up our table, right, a 3 by 2. I'm going to write our trinomial along the top, so we have x squared plus 2x minus 3 and 2x minus 1. So x squared times 2x is 2x to the third power. Remember, there's a couple invisible ones there. We have an exponent of 1, a coefficient of 1. We have x squared times negative 1, which that just changes the sign of the x squared, so it's negative x squared. Now we have 2x, the top middle here, 2x times 2x, which would be 4x squared. 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. Negative 3 times 2x, negative 6x. And negative 3 times negative 1, once again, just changes the sign, so that negative 3 becomes positive 3. All right, I'm going to write them out. We have 2x cubed minus x squared plus 4x squared minus 2x minus 6x plus 3. Remember, we have our x squared like terms, and we have our x like terms. 2x cubed. Now this is a negative 1x squared plus 4x squared, so that would be 3x squared. Now you have negative 2x minus 6x. If you don't know it, throw it in your calculator. Negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8x and plus 3. And you're done. So multiplying. Huge skill. All right, huge skill involved with today's lesson, long division. All right, subtracting. Another skill. So, subtract 5x squared plus 3 minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 1. So we need this first binomial, and we're subtracting everything that's in the parentheses. Remember, we're treating this kind of like it's a negative 1 in front here, and we're distributing it to everything. But all that means, for those of you who've been following close attention to these lessons, all that means, if there's a minus sign in front of parentheses, all the signs change of everything that's in that parentheses. So 2x squared is now negative 2x squared. 4x is now negative 4x. And negative 1 is now positive 1. So you just have to change the signs of everything that's in that second set of parentheses because there's a negative sign in front. All right, like terms, 5x squared and negative 2x squared. 3 and 1, those constants. And just for the record, the negative 4x doesn't have any like terms. No other x terms there. So combine your like terms. 5x squared minus 2x squared is 3x squared. I'm going to write the x term next. Remember, we talked about the exponents kind of going down. All right, those exponents are like in descending order, so it's an exponent of 2, then an exponent of 1, and then your constant. That's standard form. All right, and then your constants combined together, 3 and 1 makes 4. And by the way, you do not have to write the exponent of 1. All right, you can just leave it as minus 4x. All right, now long division with just some basic numbers. Let's see what that's like. You probably haven't visited that in many, many years. So let's take a look. All right, divide 7 by 6. All right, so you have to kind of set up your division house here, where 6 is on the outside, and 557 is on the inside. So 6 on the outside, 557 on the inside. You check to see if 6 goes into 5, the first number. It does not. All right, does 6 go into 55? Yes, it does. Okay, it goes into 55. How many times? Not a perfect amount of times, but how many can fit? It would be 9 times. So you write it over that second 5 because we're going for 55, not just that first original 5. All right. Now, when you get that number, remember you take that 9, however many times it went in, and you multiply by the number that's on the outside. So 9 times 6 is 54. And now you see how many you have left over. So you subtract. All right, subtract. And you're left with 1 left over. All right? Now what do you divide 6 into? You don't take 6 and now put it into that 7. That's number, the 557. You take 6 and see, okay, does 6 go into 1 now, that amount that's left over? Does 6 go into 1? It does not. That's where you drop down the 7. So now does 6 go into 17? Yes, it does. It goes in twice. So 2 times 6 is 12. And now we're going to subtract and see that we have 5 left over. This is the end of the number, the 557 here. So it's really 557. If we go to drop a number down, we don't have any number. All right, so you just have to add your decimal and a 0. And that's what drops down, a 0 here. But make sure you see it's 92 point something. All right, so now 6 goes into 50. How many times? It would be 8 times. 8 times 6 is 48. We have 2 left over. Remember, we're subtracting that now. 2 left over. Does 6 go into 2? Nope. Drop down another 0. 6 into 20. How many times? 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. 2 left over. Drop down another 0. And if we keep doing this, it's going to be 6 into 20. All right, you keep going, 6 into 20, 6 into 20, 6 into 20. It ends up actually being repeating. All right, so it's 92.83 repeating, or 33 repeating, as long as you have some sort of repeating and you put the bar on top. All right, so it would be 92.83 repeating, just the 3 repeating. All right, do you have to do a problem like that on your Regents for Algebra 2 next year? Definitely not. But that's just to refresh your memory of like what is long division, what happens. So you really, it's some sort of division, and then it's multiplication, and then it's subtraction, and it's really just that problem. And that's really 3 letters today that you're going to have to know. Those are really the steps. You divide, you multiply, and you subtract. Okay, so let's look at the steps. All right, for long division. So now we're talking about polynomials, so it gets a little more complicated. So number 1, divide the first terms. Put the quotient on top. All right, just like we did here. We divided, all right, 6 into 55, the first terms. Multiply the quotient by the divisor. The quotient is the result. Okay, so that result, you multiply that by the divisor, which is the number on the outside. So it's like distributing. All right, 3, subtract, just like we did in the long division. First terms always cancel. You'll see that when we go. Repeat this process until the first terms cannot be divided. So DMS, divide, multiply, subtract. Please remember that. All right, seems like a lot of work. Just remember DMS, divide, multiply, subtract. Each step is basic algebra 1. Go 1 step at a time. All right, so it's doable. I'm telling you, this first one, even when I teach this in person, all right, students initially are like, what is happening? Just stick with it. All right, stick with it, and you'll be fine. First one's going to look weird, trust me. So the divisor, what you're dividing by, goes on the outside of the house. And the number on top, the numerator, goes on the inside. All right, so here's your setup. Now divide your first terms. All right, that's step 1. Divide the first terms, put the quotient on top. The first terms, all right, you take the number on the inside, the term on the inside, which is x cubed, and you're dividing that by the first term for the number that's on the outside. So x, right? Those are the first terms of the two polynomials, x cubed and x. You divide those. Remember, this is x to the first power. So what you end up with when you divide those first terms is x squared. So divide the first terms and put that quotient, the result, put that on top, which is x squared. All right, now that was divide. Multiply, subtract. So now we're going to multiply. When you multiply the x squared, now x squared is going to get multiplied by everything on the outside. So it's going to be x squared. It's going to get multiplied by x, and it's going to get multiplied by -1. So it's like the distributive property. All right, so x squared times x is x cubed, and x squared times -1 is negative x squared. All right, so that was multiply. And now we're going to subtract. All right, so subtract. Essentially, that means you're changing the signs. So you subtract, the signs just change. What was just positive, the x cubed, became negative, and what was negative, the x squared, just became positive. So the signs just change. All right, so now remember, when we subtract, what was said here for step 3, the first terms are always going to cancel. All right, so this is gone. X cubed minus x cubed, those are gone. Okay, but now there are x squared terms. Let's see what we have. We have 4x squared, and we have plus x squared, so plus 1x squared. So we end up with 5x squared. So divide, multiply, subtract. All right, next, repeat the process. All right, now we're not going to take x like we did before. We're not going to take that x. Remember, we put that into x cubed initially to start, like over to the right here in blue. Remember, you don't take that now and now put it into 4x squared. Just like we didn't do that when we did long division here. We didn't say, okay, we're going to put 6 into 55 and then we're going to put it into 7. No, you put it into whatever resulted. We put it into what resulted here, and what resulted here, and what resulted here. So we have to now divide the first terms, if we're thinking about that. We have to take what resulted, which was the 5x squared, and now divide that by that first term again, which that first term, remember that first term was x. So 5x squared divided by x. Keep in mind, once again, that's an exponent of 1, and that's equal to 5x. That's where you remember, when you're dividing, you're subtracting the exponents. So up top it was 3 minus 1, we got x squared. All right, this was 2 minus 1, so it's 5x to the first. All right, remember, after you divide, whatever you get, the quotient goes up top. So this would be plus 5x. Now you take that 5x, that was divide, now you multiply. 5x does not just get multiplied by the x, the first term, it gets multiplied by everything. All right, so 5x times x is 5x squared, and 5x times -1 is negative 5x. Now change your signs, because it's subtraction now. Change the sign. When I say subtraction, just change the signs, just like we did in the do now. So that became negative, this becomes positive, and in addition, we have to make sure we bring down a term here to be, you see plus 5x, there has to be something for that, so that negative x, all right, from up top comes down. All right. First terms always cancel. So what we ended up with is negative x plus 5x, which is 4x. Okay. Now, that was the subtraction. what comes after subtraction? You just repeat the process. So now divide. We just got that 4x divided by the first term of x. 4x divided by x is just 4. So you end up with 4. Remember, after you divide, we just did that step. After you divide, that ends up top. So plus 4. Now take that 4 and multiply it by everything on the outside there. So 4 times x is 4x. Remember, this is where that 4 comes and gets multiplied by everything on the outside. So 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Don't forget to bring this minus 4 down. Now you're changing your signs. This is now negative 4x, and this is positive 4. So what's left? This is 4x minus 4x. That's gone. And this, we brought down negative 4 here. It's now negative 4 plus 4, and that's equal to 0. There's nothing left. So no remainder. We're done. We have our answer. So guys, what that means is, very important to understand this, what that means is that if we take our answer, x squared plus 5x plus 4, and multiply that by x minus 1 there, we're going to end up with this polynomial on the inside, x cubed plus 4x squared minus x minus 4. All right? A lot of steps, I get it. I know exactly what you're thinking right now, trust me. Okay, I know you're thinking, what just happened? All right, but let's try a couple more, and you'll start to get the hang of it. Okay, just remember, divide, multiply, subtract. You just have to know. All right, divide, multiply, subtract. What am I dividing? What am I multiplying? What am I subtracting? All right, let's try it out. Okay, so another division problem of polynomials. What you're dividing by goes on the outside. The other goes on the inside. Okay, divide. Divide the first terms. The first terms are x cubed and x. The first terms of each polynomial. Divide those. You end up with x squared. You put that up top now. X squared up top. Multiply. What do I multiply? What I just got by everything on the outside. So x squared times x is x cubed. And x squared, remember this is what we're doing here, times x, then times x, then times 1. X squared times 1 is just positive x squared. Now, subtract. What happens when I subtract? Change the signs. That becomes negative. And this is where it gets a little tricky. This positive sign right here, that's really, we have to treat that like it's a negative. Okay, change it from positive to negative. What do we end up with? Remember, first terms cancel. And now we have 4x squared, not plus x squared, 4x squared minus x squared, which is 3x squared. So that was divide, multiply, subtract. What's next? Divide. Repeat the process. Take what we just got, 3x squared, and divide it by that first term, which happens to be x again. A lot of times it's just going to be something divided by x. And that's equal to 3x squared divided by x is just 3x. After you divide, put that up top. So plus 3x. All right. Now we have 3x. Multiplying. Take the 3x, multiply by x, and multiply by 1. So 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 1 is just 3x. All right. So now we have to change our signs. Subtract. And this addition here becomes subtraction. And an additional step here is we have to bring down that minus 3x. That's what's up top there, minus 3x. First terms cancel. And now we have negative 3x minus 3x. All right, so minus 3x, is negative 6x. So that was subtraction. All right? So now we have to divide, back to division. So what we just got, negative 6x, divide by that first term of x. That just gives us negative 6. After you divide, you throw that up top. This would be negative 6. Now we take that negative 6 and we multiply it by everything on the outside and bring it down here. So negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. Remember now, subtraction, we have to change the signs. Becomes positive. All right, both of them become positive, and we're bringing down that negative 2 to go with that positive 6 that we just changed. All right, first terms cancel, and it doesn't beautifully cancel out to 0 here, just like the last one. Remember, we ended up with 0. Here we have negative 2 plus 6. That's of course not going to come to 0. Negative 2 plus 6 is 4. Now there's from here, we're done. That's essentially like a remainder, all right, that 4, and there's just a special way that you have to write it. All right, this is really not the focus of today's lesson. I really want you to master the other steps. This is kind of just a side note, all right, of what you would have to do. Okay, but the remainder of 4 just gets written on the end, so it's literally just like this. So it'd be like plus 4, and you have to put that over the divisor. The divisor is what we've been dividing by, this x plus 1 over there. All right, so it's plus 4 over x plus 1, and then you're done. Once again, not really important today. Not really what I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on divide, multiply, subtract, in what, in how to do each of those steps. But if you feel like you're getting it, take that step and master that too. All right? So, a lot going on, but remember, divide, multiply, subtract. And these are steps that you follow. Divide the first terms, put the quotient up top. Multiply the quotient, what you just got, by the divisor, the values on the outside. Subtract. Subtract just changes all the signs. Keep in mind the first terms are going to cancel, and repeat that process until the terms cannot be divided. All right, one more, 3 here. This value, x minus 1, goes on the outside. And now, before you put x cubed plus x minus 4 on the inside, if you notice, there's no x squared term, like this one here, right? There's an x cubed term, an x squared term, an x term, and a constant. Same thing here. There's an x cubed term, an x squared term, an x term, and a constant. Here, there is no x squared term, and that's not okay in long division. You have to account for every single term. The exponents have to go in perfect descending order. What that means is x cubed. See how it goes from x cubed? So the exponent is 3, and then it's 1, and then it's the constant. It can't be that way. It would have to go 3, 2, 1, and then the constant. All right, every single time it has to be in perfect descending order. It doesn't have to start with 3. It could start with 2, but then it would have to go 2, 1, and then the constant. So you have to account for every single exponent when you go down in descending order. So here's what you do for that. It would be x cubed, all right, plus, you don't have an x squared term, you write in an x squared term. It's like a placeholder. You're just writing 0 x squared. We don't have any x squared. All right, but we need that to act as a placeholder. So if you don't have one of those terms, all right, which as I give you problems to do independently, I'm going to make sure that the problems are a little nicer, not one like this, but I just kind of want to account for all scenarios here. So plus 0x squared plus x minus 4. All right. So I'm going to do this one a little bit quicker. Divide the first terms, x cubed and x, you get x squared. Throw that value up top. Now take that value up top, multiply by everything on the outside. X squared times x is x cubed. X squared times negative 1, right, is negative x squared. Just changes the sign of x squared. Now, subtraction. Change the signs. First terms always cancel. So now we have 0 x squared plus x squared, which is plus 1 x squared, but just x squared. Whatever you get, that's now serving as what you divide with. So x squared now divided by the first term of x again. X squared divided by x is x. Throw that value up top. Multiply by everything. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 1 is negative x. Change the signs for subtraction. Don't forget to bring this down. Right, that's a positive x. First terms cancel. And now you have x. We bring x up top, right there, and you're adding that to x, which is positive. We just change it from negative to positive. So x and x makes 2x. So take that value you just got of 2x, divide by x again, the first term. That gives you 2. Put that value up top, plus 2. Now you take that 2 and you multiply by everything out here. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. So you change your signs, subtract, add, right? Bring down that negative 4 here. First terms always cancel. And now you have negative 4 plus 2, which is negative 2. Now we have nothing left. There's nothing left to bring down. All right, you're not going to be dividing. So we're done. Just remember how to write that remainder. If there is a remainder, in this case there is, negative 2. You just write, in this case we wrote plus before because it was positive. Now it's minus 2. And just put that over the divisor of x minus 1, the value on the outside there. So this would be your final answer. Alright, if you followed through with this whole video, awesome job, incredible patience. I know it's difficult. We're going to work more with it next week, and it'll make more sense. What I would advise to you, okay, I would erase your work for a problem or two. Try it on your own. See if you're and focus more on like 1 and 2 here. Preferably 1. Try 1. All right, give it a shot. Erase all your work, give it a shot, and then refer back to the video because you have to really try it on your own in order to get the steps down. So divide, multiply, subtract. But it's a question of what am I dividing, what am I multiplying, what am I subtracting. There's so many variables, so much stuff going on. So be careful. All right, your Delta Math is still open for 75% credit. So if you didn't get an opportunity to do that, please do that. And that's all I have for today. I expect a lot of questions in Remind. That's good. I look forward to hearing from you. But have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.